What's up, people? I am back. Sorry, this is a retake, and I did one yesterday. I did this review. It was supposed to be Beverly Hills Cop. I'm doing it now because unfortunately, um, fucking, I didn't have enough space, and then just got too late to do it. So I am doing it now. So there will be two videos. I'm doing the first one right now, and then I got done watching Beverly Hills Cop 2 earlier, so we're gonna do Beverly Hills Cop 2 probably a little bit later. It'll be at like nighttime. But yeah, I've had fun rewatching both movies. I think Beverly Hills Cop 1 objectively is the better movie, but Beverly Hills Cop 2 to me is the one I go to the most. So I'm going to get to that one later though. But Beverly Hills Cop 1 is so good. Like Eddie Murphy in the 80s was money. So another Eddie Murphy movie I'm going to be doing on Friday will be 48 Hours, so that's going to be fun. I think that movie with Nick Nolte was great. So just yeah, Eddie Murphy in the 80s was money. You know, then you had like his stand-up special with Raw. I think he did like another one, but like Raw was like his best one, probably one of his best stand-ups, probably one of my favorite stand-ups in general in terms of comedy. But Beverly Hills Cop just was a perfect mix. You had characters like Rosewood and Taggart, who I thought were great characters, and had good chemistry with Eddie. Victor Maitland was an okay bad guy. Um, wasn't like obviously amazing or anything, but he didn't have to be. Once again, I always kind of bring this up. When it comes to like action movies like this, the bad guy does not need to have this elaborate backstory. He needs to be the most ripped up, you know, needs to be the best written. No, sometimes villains in like especially these movies, especially in this time period in the 80s. Like look at Hans Gruber. He didn't have a fucking elaborate fucking backstory. He was just a thief. Yeah, bad guys in a lot of these movies are just bad guys. They're, Victor Maitland's a drug smuggler. Same thing with his henchman Zach, like who I've seen in other movies. I don't know the actor's name, but I've seen him in other stuff. But it's like, I just, I, I love this movie. The music was great. That like great score, like everyone knows that, yeah, that song is fucking great. Just an all around perfect movie. It was funny, but it also knew when to be serious because like the base story is his best friend got Axel Foley's best friend got shot, and he's trying to get revenge for him. Like that is the basic story, but there's just funny hijinks along the way, and I think they used to know how to do comedy back then. Like even in a comedy movie, they knew how to like when a serious moment happens, they let the serious moment happen. Like when his best friend died, they don't play it off as like a gag. Like unfortunately, if they were to do it today, they would even play his best friend's death as a fucking gag. It's crazy how back then they knew how to like balance, you know. But other than that, let's kick off the review. So Beverly Hills Cop kicks off with this. We get this kind of like opening montage of Detroit in the 80s. How run down it is. And then we're introduced to Axel Foley because he's posing as like an illegal cigarette seller. They get caught by cops. We get this elaborate chase out in the truck. Pretty funny scene, to be honest. With like some super 80s music playing. It's fucking great. So we learn Axel Foley is a cop. We meet Inspector Todd, who you gotta always have that hard ass inspector or chief in these movies who like admonishes the character because they're too crazy and stuff. Because I mean, even in Lethal Weapon, to an extent, you have that kind of character. Granted, it's not done in the same way, but kind of the similar like you guys destroy everything kind of deal. So he basically gets threatened like if you fuck up one more time, you're gonna lose your perfect job. We see Paul Reiser in this. He's only in it for a bit. He's sorry if you're hearing fucking birds. Um, Paul Reiser, who a lot of them might recognize from Aliens. He's the skeezy fucking businessman in that. I actually like him in these movies, even though in this one he's not in this one as much. Like he's in this scene, and then I think you see him one more time, and then he's kind of gone from the rest of the movie. He's in the second one a lot more. So we meet Michael Tandino, who works for me. He tells Axel, he's been working in Beverly Hills, and he works for a guy named Victor Malin, and he took some bonds from him, which that's gonna be a clue because they go to a bar. We get this kind of nice scene between the two where Michael's like, because Axel mentions, he committed crime when he was younger. He asked Michael, like, why did you take the rap for him? And he says, because I love you, man. It's just a nice little, just deep moment. And that's the thing of these movies. Like, you can have moments like that. It can be a nice comedy, because then, sadly, the next scene, fucking plane. Michael gets murdered by a guy named Zach who works for so Axel gets like, knocked out, and then the guy plays like, oh, I'm gonna keep Michael alive, but no, he kills Michael pretty quickly. Then Axel decides he's gonna take his vacation days and go to Beverly Hills. We get the obligatory scene where he first arrives in his car. You got like the super 80s music playing. You see like all the hot 80s chicks. Just this side point, chicks in the 80s, man. Just something about like 80s and 90s too, but like just something about like chicks in those time period. But anyway, but yeah, I just love the scene when he arrives, and then you see the dude when he's walking down the street, and he sees like these guys in like basically Michael Jackson jackets, like the jackets you would see in Michael Jackson videos, just to show how 80s this is, and just all around the little funny moments where Axel plays like when he was checking into the hotel, he was playing like he was this Rolling Stones journalist. Like the moments in these movies where he plays like a character, I fucking love them. I love it. It's just so funny because it's just Eddie Murphy showing off his comedy skills. And just, like I said, Eddie Murphy was so fucking hilarious in this time period. Like, in the 80s, he was fucking, like, he did, like, so many, like, obviously this movie, the second one, Coming to America, you had Golden Child, you had 48 Hours, like, so many good ones, like, which I will be doing Golden Child probably next week. But, yeah, just this time period, man. Fucking. So we meet Jenny Summers, who's also a friend of Michael's and Axel's. And, he then confronts Victor, and Victor has him thrown out. We get a nice, funny gag of him, like, this is how you treat people. And then he gets arrested because, they made it seem like, oh, he was causing a scene. Then this is where we meet Taggart and Rosewood and Bogomil. I fucking love these characters. Just like, it's one of these things. Either it's this time period. I don't know if it's this time period or it really wasn't. It was the writing. Just characters just knew how to like. There was instant like chemistry. Like, it's crazy. Like, just the instant chemistry. Like, these characters just instantly like hit it off, and it just. So, we get the banana and the tailpipe joke, which is pretty funny. Fucking love that moment in the movie. And then Axel and Jenny go to the Victor's storage thing and follow these guys who are taking something from those storage to customs. So, and that this is where Axel poses as like a customs agent. Like just these moments in this movie these movies where he plays like a character, like just to like get something out of it. It's just so fucking hilarious. Just so he gets the information, meets up with Taggart and Rosewood. They go to a titty bar, like a strip club. You got some nice '80s music playing, like just all around. Like the music in these movies, like not just like the main theme, like the score that plays throughout the movie, basically. Just like even like the actual '80s songs they play is slow. It just works. It just that's why to me the first two Beverly Hills cops to me. Like I don't hate three, and I will be reviewing three tomorrow. I haven't watched it in a bit, but I remember thinking it was okay. Because at the end of the day, it is Eddie Murphy, and compared to a lot of some thirds like fucking uh some bad third movies like Jaws 3, you know, it's like it it's all right. Like it's just for me, like I said, what made the first two is that '80s aesthetic. Like you got the '80s music playing, just it just works, and that's why like just to me three partially didn't work. Um, so they go to the bar. Some guys try to rob it. They take him down, but Rosewood and Taggart get admonished by Bogomil. Then they assign two other people to follow Axel. Axel's at Victor's house. So Axel follows Victor to like this men's club kind of. We get that. I actually like this scene. I like this scene between him and Victor. This is where you kind of get the idea. Like we know Victor's the bad guy, but he's still like they don't they don't show it. Like you could tell he's the bad guy, but they don't. It's not like Hans Gruber, like you know from the beginning he's a bad guy. Whereas he's still trying to play like, oh, I'm just an art stealer, you know. But then that scene where he's like, you're gonna get fucking squashed. That's basically him saying, yeah, I'm a bad guy. Then Axel tells Bogomil, Taggart, and Rosewood what he's been, because there's a scene where he finds coffee grounds, which this is where it's revealed that coffee grounds are used to mask basically drug smell. Um, but I think Bogomil's boss says, Axel has to go. So Rosewood is tasked to take Axel, but obviously he doesn't. So they get Jenny and go to Victor's warehouse again, but it turns out it was a trap. Axel gets beat up a bit while Jenny gets taken back to Victor's house. Rosewood saves Axel, and then they go to Victor's house, and this is where basically the final act of the film happens. And and I love it because it's just like in the '80s, like not a lot, but like some action movies, you would always get like you'd go to this nice like mansion looking house, and you get like a shootout usually there. So it was kind of nice that they had that in this too. So Taggart and Rosewood go along with Axel and take out the bad guys while Bogomil and the other police finally arrive. Zach gets killed by Axel, but then Maitland threatens to kill Jenny. Bogomil arrives where both Bogomil and Axel shoot him to shit. Like, dude, it was like they both just capped this motherfucker, and it's like it's just an awesome movie. And then Bogomil says he'll put a word in for Axel, because basically Axel's on thin ice with Todd, so he will put a good word in for him, and then checks out. And then Taggart and Rosewood say, yeah, we can go to a bar really quick. And then, yeah, that's pretty much how the film ends. I love this film. the first Beverly Hills Cop objectively is a better film. I think it also has a better villain. I like two, and I just rewatching it today. I think if you only not weak thing, but two could have had a better villain. I think that was the other thing, and I'll talk about that more when we do Beverly Hills Cop 2. But I still think I find two I just watch more, but one is definitely a better movie. I like that it's a nice balance of comedy, like the little moments where Eddie like is playing a character or just doing some hijinks, but there's also meaning to his hijinks. Sometimes he's trying to do it so he can get like information, like so he that's what makes it so good. Like, and Taggart and Rosewood are great. And speaking of Rosewood, he is rewatching too. He's the VIP of that movie. I find him so hilarious in that second one, and we'll talk about that more in that one. But the first Beverly Hills Cop is just simple. It was a fun movie. It's a revenge story in a way, just not like it's not like Rambo or something, you know. But it is kind of a revenge story in the sense Michael, Axel's trying to get revenge for his best friend Bert. So just an all around great film. The soundtrack's great. Just the whole thing. I definitely would recommend watching Beverly Hills Cop. Just if you want Eddie Murphy like at his peak, it's this movie. I would say this is my favorite Eddie Murphy movie. It's this or 48 Hours. I would say one and two, kind of just put them together. But between that or 48 Hours, but just Eddie Murphy at his peak, man. And it's unfortunate, like what happened to him, obviously with personal stuff, and then obviously he started doing a lot of shitty movies. But it's fine. Eddie Murphy's still great, even though he takes back some of the jokes he said in Raw. Fuck all that, but whatever. But other than that, I fucking love this movie. 10 out of 10 for comedy, and yeah, definitely one of my favorite 80s movies. I'll probably eventually do a video. It's gonna probably take a while because I don't. But definitely like a favorite 80s movie or favorite 90s movie, like stuff like that. So, but other than that, Beverly Hills Cop 2, we'll be doing later tonight. So look out for that. And tomorrow we'll be doing the third film. And yeah. Fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck Disney. Fuck La Bitch James. I'm gonna say what one more time. Fuck La Bitch James. Fuck Kevin Smith. And of course, fuck Joe Biden. I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Peace.